Curtis. You so infatuated with my lifestyle.
Rick Ross on Joe and Jada. You got him dissing the G Unit and my man Murder on it.
Just imagine if I had the chance to slap 50 Cent with this shit right here. Come get it, 50. The nigga with the dog cheat. What's that nigga name? Uncle Murder.
To me, Rick Ross jokes is getting dropped. Murder, clean my boat. Gail, mow my lawn. Don't care about none of that, right?
You know, Rick Ross not smacking nobody. He up there talking about smacking somebody.
Smacking
we saw you in Canada, brother. We saw you run on your peoples and all that. We know you not about that. We seen you run on your people.
But now the volume is definitely like that fro. I don't know what's going on. Shout out to the volume.
Yeah, but Ricky Rosetta, your punk ass, punch him in the chest, he might have a season, man. Officer Ricky mad.
Yeah, they got Zip the Drip, got Officer Ricky mad. He went on a rant.
They said Officer Ricky jumped into Drake beef because of French, and French still cool with Drake. So Officer Ricky looking kind of stupid.
Ross, take a shot at you.
Rick Ross just took a shot at 50 Cent's bank account, and 50 Cent did not let it slide. What started as a quick jab on a podcast turned into another loud chapter in a feud that has been running for almost 20 years. Here's how it all went down, and why these two still can't leave each other alone. It all kicked off on the Joe and Jada podcast, where the conversation drifted toward rappers who, in Rick Ross' words, are washed up and out of motion. Without missing a beat, Ross dropped 50 Cent's name into the mix. He even joked about smacking him with a ring on his finger supposedly worth $1 million, asking the room to imagine him doing it. Fat Joe tried to steer him off the topic more than once, but Ross kept circling back, eventually throwing in a jab about Uncle Murder too. Naturally, once that clip hit the internet, people had plenty to say about whether Ross was reaching for a reaction or whether 50 had it coming. And 50 Cent did exactly what 50 Cent always does. He clapped back, calling Ross broke, and Ross wasted no time returning fire, brushing it off as something he does for fun and insisting nobody controls him. This isn't new territory for either of them. When Ross sat down on Patrick Bet David's podcast, he made his stance painfully clear. He and 50 have never been on good terms, not since day one. When Bet David tried to frame them as two heavyweights in the same business, Ross wasn't interested in playing nice. He brought up 50's clothes, his finances, and the idea that 50 never actually owned his masters, crediting Eminem and Dr. Dre for saving his career while claiming he built his own from the ground up, starting through slip and slide. He didn't stop there either, taking a shot at where 50 reportedly lives, claiming it's a 2-bedroom apartment, a comment that spread fast online. Ross also brought up the Diddy documentary 50 was attached to, suggesting that 50 doesn't actually own a piece of it, that his name just gets attached to projects while someone else cashes in. When Bet David asked if there was anything about Ross' career he respected, the answer was a flat no. Ross said he never wanted beef with 50 in the first place, but once 50 brought the problem to him, he wasn't backing down from it either. From Ross' side, the whole rivalry comes down to relevance. He argued that other artists bring 50's name into things just to generate buzz around their own releases, and that 50's biggest hits came from working with the best producers and writers in the business surrounding him. Ross made it clear he wasn't trying to sell records off controversy, telling Bet David good luck to anyone still chasing that strategy while he's not even focused on selling music anymore. Then came the line that really got people talking. Ross said he'd let 50 wash the bottom of his yacht, joking that 50 could grab some goggles, a mouthpiece, and some fins and flap around like Flipper down there. It was a joke about money, sure, but it was also a direct hit at 50's status. Ross kept pushing, claiming 50 doesn't own power, doesn't own get rich or die trying. And that's exactly why he never promotes either one, because there's nothing left in it for him. Bet David pushed back, pointing to reports that placed 50's net worth around $100 million. Ross wasn't convinced, suggesting those numbers were likely from before 50's well-documented bankruptcy filing, which only added more fuel to an already heated exchange. Later in the same conversation, Ross brought up 50's living situation again, claiming he's in a 2-bedroom apartment, a claim that immediately spread across social media, given how much of 50's image has been built around wealth and luxury. Ross doubled down, saying people just put 50's name on projects, hand him a small check, and that's the extent of his involvement. Once the clip started circulating, fans split into camps almost instantly. Some defended 50, pointing to the success of the Final Lap tour and the ongoing revenue from the Power universe. Others jumped in agreeing with Ross. DJ Academics helped push the clip further, and before long it had turned into one of the biggest talking points across hip-hop media. Not long after, 50 fired back by turning the conversation toward Ross' massive Fayetteville, Georgia estate, the one fans know as the Promised Land. To really understand why these two are still going at it after all this time, you have to go back to where it started. The story traces back to the 2008 BET Hip Hop Awards, where Ross felt disrespected by the way 50 looked at him. 50, for his part, later claimed he didn't even remember any kind of interaction happening that night. Small as it sounds, that moment became the spark. By 2009, things escalated fast when Ross dropped Mafia Music, a track that took direct aim at 50 and referenced parts of his personal life, including his child's mother. That kind of move was never going to go unanswered, and 50 didn't wait long to respond. The two traded records, interviews, and public jabs back and forth, but one of the most talked about moments came when 50 released Officer Ricky, Go Ahead Try Me. That track wasn't just another disc record. It dug into Ross' past, highlighting reports that he had worked as a corrections officer in Florida before becoming a rapper. That detail instantly became one of the biggest topics in hip-hop at the time, shifting the conversation away from bars and into questions about credibility and authenticity. What's kept this feud alive for so long is that neither side has ever fully let it go. Over the years, it spilled out of music entirely, into legal disputes, online jabs, and a kind of ongoing competition for attention. Every time one of them found themselves back in the headlines, the other was right there ready to respond. Part of what's made the rivalry so big is that both men built powerful brands outside of music, 50 through television and business ventures, Ross through a lifestyle built around real estate, cars, and luxury. That's exactly why conversations about money hit such a nerve between them. These exchanges were never just insults. They were challenges to each other's image and to the idea that their success is real and earned. The legal side of things only added more material to the fire. In 2015, 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy after facing serious financial pressure, much of it tied to a lawsuit involving Lastonia Leviston, the mother of one of Ross' children. A jury ultimately awarded her millions after determining a private video of hers had been shared without her permission. That case followed 50 for years and became something Ross would bring up whenever questions about wealth or financial stability came into the conversation, including during his recent appearance with Bette David, where he again referenced that period and pushed back on the figures often attached to 50's net worth. The legal back and forth wasn't one-sided though. Around that same stretch, 50 filed his own lawsuit, this one tied to Ross allegedly using material connected to Inda Club without permission on a mixtape project. What had started as a rap rivalry had turned into something playing out in courtrooms, with financial records and discovery documents becoming part of the story. Ross has claimed that reviewing some of that financial information during the legal process changed how he saw 50's situation at the time, and he's continued referencing it years later as part of his argument. Another detail that keeps coming back up is 50's social media activity during the bankruptcy period, when he was reportedly asked to explain posts showing large sums of cash. Critics pointed to those posts as contradictory, while supporters argued it was simply part of the persona he's built his career around. Even now, the wealth debate hasn't cooled off. Reports continue to estimate 50's net worth around $100 million, while Ross is often ranked higher on similar lists, keeping the comparisons alive. 50 eventually responded on the $1 million worth of Game podcast, arguing that the luxury Ross shows off online is more about image than reality. He took specific aim at Ross' Georgia estate, the Promised Land, saying the property costs more to maintain than it could ever bring in, comparing it to a white elephant Ross is stuck holding onto. It was a pointed shot, since that property is central to so much of Ross' brand, from car shows to business announcements to the content he posts regularly. Ross didn't let it go unanswered, suggesting 50 could use the place to shoot television projects instead, turning the insult right back around. As the feud rolled on, it started drifting into more personal territory. Ross made comments referencing 50's son's sire, even suggesting he get the child a small dog, and that didn't sit well with a lot of fans who felt family should stay out of it. Around the same time, Benzino jumped into the conversation too, pulling even more people into what had already become a sprawling, ongoing dispute. Ross also brought loyalty into the equation, questioning why 50 was seen spending time with Drake during Drake's very public conflict with Kendrick Lamar, especially given how much 50 has credited Drive Dre for changing his career. The implication was clear. Ross was accusing 50 of switching sides once it benefited him, and that's the kind of accusation that tends to stick around in hip-hop circles. Then in June of 2024, things got even messier after Ross closed out a set at the Ignite Music Festival in Vancouver with Kendrick's Not Like Us, sparking reports of an altercation following the show. Weeks later, during a birthday weekend show in Canada, 50 reportedly brought the incident up to the crowd, turning it into another moment of public back and forth between the two. Strip away all the jokes, the interviews, and the social posts, and this rivalry really comes down to one question: who actually owns their success? Both men have spent their careers building reputations around wealth and power, which is exactly why every challenge to those claims lands so hard. Ross continues to argue that 50 doesn't truly own major pieces of his catalog, pointing again and again to Get Rich or Die Trying and the Power franchise. And when asked directly if there's any path to peace between them, Ross shut the idea down completely, going right back to the same line he's used for years about 50's style and finances. At this point, whether you side with Ross, side with 50, or think the truth sits somewhere in between, one thing is obvious. Almost 2 decades in, neither man has shown any sign of backing down. So who do you think actually has the upper hand in this one, Ross or 50? Drop your take in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update on this story.